Thank you, Professor Sancheti. Such a pleasure to be part of this and also listening from you, your wisdom. So I have gone through the full cycle of research. So being a researcher at Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, I knew excellence in research. I went to Leiden where I saw translational research, which is in Netherlands. Then I came to industry and startup. I knew what happens to that translation research into innovation and product. And what I have seen is that when we talk about resource planning, it's such a critical bridge for us when we think of aspiration and achieving that aspiration. The resources become very, very critical thing. So for research to get converted into an impactful research or excellence in research, so I was talking to Dr. Deshpande, who is on the board of
big
MIT. How does being on the board, he looks at resource allocation or budgeting for the entire MIT. He said very interesting, he gave a formula. He said if research has to be impactful, there are two pathways. The first pathway is I do research, there is a relevance and impact. And then there is another, I look at the first, what is the relevance of the research, and then do the research, and then the impact. So he calls it frontier research and also relevance-based research. And that ability of an institution to distribute the research resources to almost 80 to 90% for the research which is relevant to the people, to the society, and to the industry. This is very, very important for an institution to look at. The next is the translational research. The research has to get into translational, and that's where we get into intellectual property. And here, I remember my association with Dr. Mashelkar. I'm giving these examples because they are the best, leaders and legends who have transformed research. When he took over as the director of NCL, he said that we need to manage the resources with a new paradigm. The paradigm earlier was publish or perish. Then he said, very interestingly, patent, publish, and prosper. Now, the moment we get into this new paradigm, the kind of resources that you need to deploy is going to be extremely important. That's where I see that NCL in early 90s developed a technology with a licensing revenue of $30 million in 90s when dollars were very, very limited. That's the impact that we can have. The next resources that are needed is now how do I take this translation research into innovation? Remember that we take money to convert into knowledge, but that knowledge has to, the innovation, that knowledge has to get converted into money so that the 3% budget that you said, it should be 30% or 15%. And that is a spin-off. So like PhD students like Savita or VIT has say 100 PhD students, can we have resources to convert at least 5% entrepreneurs? And they give back money to your institution, or part of this gets licensed, commercialized to the industry, and that gets converted into this. So unless
self-sustaining mode is what you are trying to
we should not look at resources only, because some of the institutions that I have seen is that they have an intent to become, top-notch, researcher and also innovator, but resources become a fundamental problem because institutions are used to taking money from the students, but not
giving them back.
Giving in terms of a research.